Beneath the beautiful Gothic stonework of St George's Chapel at Windsor Castle lies one of the most secretive and extraordinary burial places in the world, the Royal Vault. Few ever see it, yet it holds the remains of some of Britain's most powerful monarchs, princes and princesses. This hidden chamber tells a story of royal tradition, death and remembrance, stretching across more than 2 centuries. To step inside the Royal Vault, even in imagination, is to walk into the private resting places of kings and queens who shaped the history of Britain and the wider world. St George's Chapel is one of the jewels of Windsor Castle, built between 1475 and 1528 during the reigns of Edward IV and Henry VIII. It is a masterpiece of perpendicular Gothic architecture. Its soaring fan vault ceiling, stained glass windows and carved stonework make it not just a house of worship, but also a monument to royal power and prestige. The chapel has always been tied to the monarchy. It is the spiritual home of the Order of the Garter, Britain's oldest order of chivalry. Many great royal ceremonies, weddings, funerals and memorial services have taken place here. But beyond the grand choir stalls and polished stone floors, hidden deep beneath, lies a space most visitors never see, the Royal Vault. The Royal Vault was ordered to be built by King George III in the early 19th century. Before then, monarchs and their families were often buried in Westminster Abbey or in various vaults and chapels across the kingdom. But George III wanted a permanent royal burial place at Windsor, his favourite residence. Construction of the vault began in 1804 beneath the Albert Memorial Chapel, originally known as the Lady Chapel. By 1810 it was complete. The chamber was large, designed to hold not just 1 or 2 monarchs but many generations of royalty, and in doing so, George III ensured Windsor Castle became not just a royal palace but also a royal mausoleum. The Royal Vault is not an ornate tomb like Westminster Abbey's chapel. Instead, it is functional, solemn and an underground chamber. It lies about 16 feet beneath the chapel floor, and the vault itself is approximately 70 feet long and 28 feet wide, with a stone floor and arched brick ceiling. In the centre of the chapel floor, near the choir stalls, is a simple black slab of stone. It bears no royal coat of arms or grand inspection. The only words are Royal Vault, and this is the entrance. When a burial takes place, the stone is lifted, and a mechanical lift lowers the coffin down into the vault below. Inside there are shelves and spaces built into the walls where coffins are placed. The design is practical, allowing the vault to hold dozens of members of the royal family, and at full capacity it can contain over 40. The very first royal interred in the new vault was Princess Amelia, the youngest daughter of George III, in November of 1810. Amelia had died at just 27 years old after a painful illness. Her early death devastated her father, who soon after sank deeper into the mental decline that defined the later years of his reign. From that moment on, the vault became the designated resting place for senior royals. Over the following decades, princes, princesses and monarchs alike were laid to rest there, often with sombre ceremonies attended only by close family and courtiers. Several kings rest in the royal vault, though not all have remained there permanently. George III, from 1738 to 1820, the monarch who ordered the vault's creation, was himself buried there after his long reign of 59 years. His coffin lies alongside those of his wife, Queen Charlotte, and 2 of their sons. William IV, 1765 to 1837, known as the Sailor King for his naval career. William died childless and was buried in the vault before Queen Victoria moved later burials elsewhere. These 3 monarchs remain some of the most notable figures in the chamber. The Royal Vault has also served as a temporary resting place for some of the most modern royals. Prince Albert from 1819 to 1861, when Queen Victoria's beloved husband died, his coffin was first placed in the Royal Vault. However, this was never intended to be permanent. Victoria built the Royal Mausoleum at Frogmore in Windsor's Great Park, and Albert was transferred there in 1862. Queen Victoria, 1819 to 1901, she too was laid to rest beside Albert at Frogmore, not in the vault. Queen Elizabeth II's father, George VI, 1895 to 1952. The wartime king was first buried in the royal vault before being moved into the King George VI Memorial Chapel in 1969, built especially for him. Elizabeth, the Queen Mother, 1900 to 2002, and Princess Margaret, 1930 to 2002. Both were temporarily placed in the vault before being interred in the George VI Memorial Chapel with King George VI. Prince Philip, the Duke of Edinburgh, 1921 to 2021. After his death in April of 2021, Prince Philip's coffin was lowered into the royal vault. This was also temporary. When Queen Elizabeth II died in September of 2022, Philip was moved to lie beside her in the George VI Memorial Chapel. Thus, the vault has often acted as a holding place, a kind of waiting chamber before permanent burials elsewhere in Windsor. Beyond kings and queens, many lesser-known royals rest permanently in the vault. These include Princess Charlotte, 1796 to 1817, the daughter of George IV, who died tragically in childbirth at just the age of 21. Her death caused national mourning, as she had been the heir to the throne. Dukes of Kent, Cambridge, Sussex and other royal princes, several of George III's sons and their descendants, young princes and princesses, children of the royal family who died in infancy or youth are placed here also. Together they form a vast genealogical map of Britain's royal history stretching from the Georgian period into the present. A royal funeral at St George's Chapel is a ceremony of tradition and precision. The coffin is carried into the chapel, usually draped in the royal standard and placed on the catafalque. Often prayers and hymns. The coffin is then slowly lowered through the floor into the vault. For most of history, these moments were seen only by a small circle of mourners. However, in the case of Prince Philip and Queen Elizabeth II, television cameras showed the world the stone floor closing above the vault's entrance, giving millions a rare glimpse of the tradition. The royal vault is still in use, though less frequently than in the past. Since the mid-20th century, monarchs have tended to be buried in smaller, dedicated chapels like the George VI Memorial Chapel, rather than the main vault. Yet the vault remains a vital part of royal history, a place where past generations rest together in solemnity. It also serves as a symbol of continuity. In times of crisis or mourning, the vault has been the chamber where royals are kept until new chapels or mausoleums are ready. It bridges eras and dynasties, keeping the dead close to the living hearts of Windsor Castle. Because the vault is not open to the public, much about it remains mysterious. There are a few official photographs of its interior, only descriptions from archival sources, and a handful of sketches. This secrecy adds to its aura. Visitors to St George's Chapel may walk over the black stone slab without even realising what lies beneath. Few realise they are standing above the coffins of kings and queens, princes and princesses who once shaped the destiny of the realm. The royal vault is a reminder that despite their crowns and palaces, monarchs meet the same end as all of us. Beneath the splendour of the chapel, their bodies lie in silence and darkness. For the royal family, the vault is also a place of memory. Generations of Windsors know their ancestors are close at hand, resting in the heart of their favourite castle. The vault links them not just to their immediate forebearers, but to a centuries-old story of monarchy, faith and tradition. Inside the royal vault of St George's Chapel lies a unique collection of Britain's royal dead. Built by George III, it has held princes and princesses, monarchs and consorts, heirs and children whose lives ended too soon. It has acted as both a permanent burial place and a temporary resting chamber before transfer to grander mausoleums. Though it remains hidden from public view, the vault continues to fascinate. It is a place of secrecy, solemnity and history. For over 200 years, it has silently received the bodies of Britain's most powerful figures, lowering them into the earth beneath the stones of Windsor. And as long as St George's Chapel stands, the royal vault will remain there too, a silent chamber of kings beneath the choir of one of England's most sacred royal chapels. Thank you for watching, and to support our channel, please make sure to subscribe. And once again, thank you so much for watching.